Generation X. In general terms, those born between 1965 and 1980. Latchkey kids. Independent. Existentialism. Modern philosophy focusing on personal experience, human ability, and responsibility in an otherwise meaningless universe. We're the cause. This is the effect. We're the Gen Existentialists. Greetings and salutations, friends. This is the Gen Existentialist podcast. My name is Scott.
And I'm Bunny.
And we're here to talk to you about the serious plagues that Gen X is facing, such as millennials and
Aging.
Gen Z and boomers. We're surrounded on all sides. And today, we come up with solutions. I'm just kidding, actually. We're just going to talk about stuff from a Gen X perspective. We're going to spin Megawheel the Magnificent, and we're going to go ahead and get our first topic. I wanted to start things off serious to see if people would fall into it. Yeah. Just to see if people would fall into it like, okay, it took 45 episodes or something, but we're finally getting into it. Okay. Oh, this is good. This is a good topic. Have you ever purchased an as seen on TV product? And if so, what was it?
Yes, I ordered the special effects cookbook. I don't know
what?
If you remember this from back in the very early 90s, they put out a shitty little 30-page or 40-page cookbook called the Special Effects Cookbook. And it was all kind of foods and cakes and stuff you could make that have special effects with them. So they had.
Did it have the blue milk from Star Wars in it? The bantha milk?
It did not. But it had all sorts of like weird things, like you can make Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pizza. You can make a skull cake with flaming eyes, and all this stuff. And we actually used this cake to make, or we used this recipe book to make a penis cake.
So made this. Okay, I get it. I get it.
Were you there when we did the dry ice part with it? Because that was the special effect that
I saw it afterwards. Okay. I saw it afterwards when it was brought to the store that I worked
and put in the glass case of the store you worked at.
Well, it was put under the counter. It was in a glass case for a few moments, and then it went under the counter.
Oh, okay.
Where we ate parts of it.
Oh, geez. See, I did not partake in the dining of it. I only make the mistakes. I don't clean them up. So, yeah, we made this ridiculous penis cake. With the whole idea was you were supposed to make a dragon cake. And you put dry ice in this little reservoir.
Whose idea was it to switch the dragon to a penis?
That would be me.
Okay, all right.
Because it was such a tragedy trying to make this dragon cake. This was me and Andy.
Yeah.
I'm calling out a name here. Sorry to out you and your professional teaching career, Andy. But, we tried to make this dragon cake, and it looked terrible. So we morphed it into a limp cock cake. And complete with pink icing and the whole bit.
Yeah,
we
the
went
icing
Caucasian route.
Was remarkable.
Well, see, I'm an artist. And then the whole idea is, with the dragon cake, you had a reservoir, and we actually drove all the way to Calhoun Street in Cincinnati to go to a dry ice place because Doozing Brothers didn't have any. So we drove all the way to Clifton, Ohio, or Clifton, Cincinnati, to get dry ice, drove it all the way back, did this whole thing, and then it made the dry ice fog come out of the urethra of the penis, which was quite hilarious to 16, 17-year-olds at the time. Yeah. Probably would have been funnier to a 10-year-old or something. Yeah, and that's the saga of the stupid as seen on TV thing that I purchased.
And where did you take the penis cake? Because the story continues.
Yeah,
folks.
The story, of course, it never ends. And just look, we made a folly, and now we're going to throw it away. No, we left it on a friend of ours' windshield of their car.
That would be our friend Tim.
You're calling out names again.
Well,
I wasn't going to
just first names.
Yeah.
Because we've referenced our friends on the show before. Yeah, we left
it on his Ford Tempo as a joke. Because I was like, Tim will think this is hilarious when he comes
Was it on the Tempo or was it on the Delta 88?
It was a white car, whatever that was.
That would have been the Escort.
Was that an Escort? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was who knows?
I thought it was going back to when Tim and I were both driving our Delta 88s.
It was a car windshield. Hopefully it wasn't his father's or mother's car. I thought it was his car. I'd have been very, very incredibly apologetic if that had happened the other way around. But yeah, so that we did that as a laugh. So
that's wonderful. And I'm glad you had such a good story for this, because honest to God, my answer, have I ever purchased an as seen on TV product? I haven't.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I always watch the commercials.
Well, you still have time to rectify this. You're not quite...
Yeah. And I mean, like when Tracy would drag me to Bed Bath & Beyond, they always had shelves of as seen on TV stuff.
Oh, they're all terrible.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And that's why I never bought anything, because you go to a store, and I don't think there are any that have this stuff anymore. But when you went to the store and you actually looked at the product, and you saw how cheap it was and how junky it was, it's like...
Walmart still has...
Do they?
These kind of like central stands, like right before you get to the checkout.
Yeah.
And some of them have as seen on TV items on them. Oh, God. So...
Yeah, see, that, it's bad. And I remember back to, you remember Push-A-Wheel.
Oh, Push-A-Wheel.
That was what that was destined for, I thought. So, and I don't think it even made it to that point.
This is true. Yeah. Push-A-Wheel was an invention by the woman who inspired Megawheel, actually.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It was a history teacher or geography teacher. I don't know what she taught. History.
Yeah.
At our high school. And she decided she was going to make an invention. You remember when you watch Little House on the Prairie or any of those kind of shows where there's somebody's like pushing a wagon wheel or a cart wheel, like a rim, not even the wheel, just the rim of a wheel. So
kids had fun before TV.
Yeah, they're knocking it around with a stick. It's in all those wonderful, 1800s paintings at the museum. She decided to make a idiot-proof version of that was like stick with a wire around it so the wheel wouldn't fall off, basically, and you just pushed the wheel around. Yeah. And it was called Push-A-Wheel.
Complete with hyphens. Push hyphen a hyphen wheel.
And that's what she did.
And she had like a warehouse of them.
Yeah, she had them manufactured, but it never quite made it to prime time. So
unfortunately.
I wonder who got those in the inheritance.
I picture it being on one of those Storage Wars episodes where somebody wins the locker and they've just got like 40, 50 boxes of the same thing.
Yeah, and the wonderful thing is that person would probably go out and put it on TV and be a smash success.
Make $1 million and retire from it.
Oh man, the world is not a fair place, kids.
No, not at all. And speaking of unfair, we're going to spin the wheel again. Megawheel the Magnificent, over 1,300 topics from which we generate the way that we do the show, and we're winding down. Wait for the applause. Okay. This is good because I think this speaks a lot to Gen X, like how you would answer this. I picture like millennials and Gen Z answering differently from the way we probably will. Do you prefer a time block schedule or a simple to-do list?
I would prefer just a to-do list myself, just because I work best on my own. Yeah. I just want to be left alone to get my work done. Yeah. And if I get my work done an hour into the shift and then I've got the rest of the time to just sit around and play video games or whatever, that's what I'll do. So
I tend to
I
be
hate
the same
time
way.
block,
I understand like with modern offices, like doing the Outlook thing where you block off for meetings or you block off times for things. But I prefer a to-do list instead too, because you never know. Something you expect to take an hour takes 15 minutes. Something that you expect to take a half hour takes 3 hours because you get into it and it's more complex. A to-do list allows you that flexibility. But I think, especially generations behind us, Millennial, Gen Z, I think they've been brought up a little bit differently because of computers and things like that we didn't have as kids, and we morphed into that world and kind of designed it. They've been brought up with that and had play dates and things like that. And to me, we're overly scheduled, but to some of those folks, it's just the way they grew up. It's just what they know. I picture people younger than us going, oh, I need time blocked out. And there's nothing wrong either way. It's how you work best.
I know. I'm shocked. I have some friends who have kids, and this is not dinging the way you raise your kids or whatever, but I feel bad for the kids some of the times because I never hear them just like, oh, I just went and hung out with friends. Yeah. It's like from the time they get up in the morning to the time they go to bed at night, it's soccer practice, band practice, and academic practice, some sort of, Girl Scout, Boy Scout, fill in the blank.
Right.
And it's like boom, 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 dinner, boom, homework, boom, bed. And it's that almost every day of the week.
Yeah.
And I think about the large swaths of time, the great grasslands of our lives, where we just had nothing to do but roam and hang out with friends. And we, a week would go by and all we'd do is hang out.
Yeah.
Fuck around with friends.
Where are you going today, Scott? I'm going to go walk in the woods.
Yeah.
All right. Be home for dinner. You got it.
It was kind of real freeform. And
I think you learned creativity from that.
Yeah.
I seldom remember being bored. There was always something to do.
It always just seems like people that are overly scheduled like that, they have a yearning, like they don't feel like they're close enough to people. They don't feel like they have good friends. They don't feel like they get to spend any time just being a kid.
Yeah.
Going outside, sitting in the grass, playing in the sandbox, meeting your friends and talking at the mall or whatever, wherever you meet nowadays, the coffee house or whatever.
Yeah.
There's none of that just sitting around socializing, getting away from your parents, getting away from authority figures.
Right. If you've got it scheduled, monitored. Okay, I've got an hour play date with my friend and that's all I've got. You're trying to push so much stuff into it. You don't have time to just be.
And usually that's supervised by a parent or two.
Yeah.
So you're not by yourself just getting into hijinks. You're not making penis cakes and putting them on your friends' cars and terrible things like that.
Shooting bottle rockets into your neighbor's shed.
Yeah, while they're in there. It's one of those things. Would you ever do that around your parents? Probably not. I think my dad might have gotten a kick out of making the cake.
I think he would have gotten a kick out of the bottle rocket, too.
I think he would have, too. My dad was a rapscallion.
Yeah, but I mean that was the fun of it, especially like going to hang out at your house because there were so many things to do and so much stuff to get into, and none of it was bad or mean or law breaking. It was just you go out and you be creative and you learn to think.
You make your own fun.
Yeah, and I think it's how you learn to reason. It's how you learn to grow. Is through that. Not everything needs to be supervised and structured in such a tight way, I guess, would be my take. So, ready for another topic?
Sure.
We will give Megawheel the Magnificent another spin. And we're winding down. It really is haunting, the face that's on here.
I love it.
It's awful, truly. Ooh. And now we come to it. And now we're here. Should there be stricter laws on gun ownership or fewer restrictions?
I think the restrictions they have right now are just fine.
Okay.
I don't see a need to get stricter or lesser, really. I think felons should not be allowed to have guns. I think people who are clinically insane should not be allowed to own a gun.
I don't think they are.
You never know. People tend to, but the thing is, no one follows those rules. I don't think gangbangers in your downtown cities are going out and getting permits and getting concealed carry and buying their guns from the gun shop.
Who requires concealed carry anymore?
They're getting them from the back alleys and wherever else they buy guns out of trunks and stuff. So, I think the laws that we have right now are fine. I've known people my entire life who've owned guns their entire life and never shot anybody.
Yeah. You're sitting across from one.
Exactly, So I think the media tends to make guns and gun owners a lot scarier than they really are, because there are so many people I know who have guns, who have always owned guns, who have shot guns, who collect guns. I go to the store and I'll see people wearing them on their side, sometimes.
Which I think is hilarious.
And I don't feel intimidated around those people because those people are the law-abiding ones, really, for the most part. And if you want to commit violence against yourself, your spouse, a random stranger, you can just as easily run over them with a car or hit them in the head with a table leg or whatever else happens to be around the house, a kitchen knife or whatever. So I don't think guns really are as scary as people make them out to be. That's my own.
I don't think they're scary. And I don't think stricter laws on gun ownership are the way to go. My worry with like somebody that's going to wear a gun to Kroger is I don't know how trained they are. I don't know if they've actually had training in like urban situations. Like if something does happen, do they know how to approach that situation? If they don't, they shouldn't be wearing it.
Well, if you're in a life or death situation, how much worse is it going to get if the guy isn't trained or whatever?
It could get a lot worse
You're
if he
still
doesn't
in a
know
bad
how to
situation.
determine. If he or she doesn't know how to determine what to do, who the good guy and bad guy are, doing air quotes that you can't see, that matters.
Okay.
It really does. So my thing is this. Yeah, I've been shooting since I was a little kid. I don't really shoot anymore after I had the situation with my eye. I'm going to have to like switch and start learning how to shoot left-handed. But my thing is we require insurance on cars. We require insurance and registration on a lot of stuff. Second Amendment is fine. It was written at a time where we didn't have bullets. We had muskets. But I don't have a problem with it. Most of the people I know that have guns, they use them to hunt, and that's it. Or they go to the target range and stuff like that. That's all they do. And because for a lot of people, it's their fun hobby. I don't want to take that away from anybody. But I think you should be required to have insurance. I think you should be required, if you have children in the home, that the firearms are locked up with the exception of one. You can have one for home defense. And here's the thing. If you've got a semi-automatic or a rifle, like AK-47, AR-15, whatever, as your home defense, come on, man. You're not going to use that if somebody breaks in. Number one, you're taking too much of a chance on perforating your kids or your dog. It only takes one shot if you're halfway decent. You don't have to lay 10 rounds of lead into somebody hoping that you hit them. Wait until you've got the shot and take it. It's just, it's idiocy. It really is.
I know that the whole idea of keeping guns away from kids and keeping guns locked up is a good idea. But who's actually going to regulate that? It's something that can't be regulated. You can't know what's going on in my house.
It's not a matter of having like a compliance officer coming and checking. But when your 5-year-old shoots and kills your 3-year-old because you didn't have a lock on the gun and you left him out, guess what? You're going away.
Sure.
You lost your kids. And that's not what happens now.
Okay.
That's my problem.
All right.
You know, you require it as a safety thing, knowing that there are a bunch of morons out there that aren't going to do it, so that you have a mechanism to separate things once the worst happens. Okay. That's literally all it is.
All right.
I mean, that's my thing. So a few more restrictions and require insurance so that I buy a new 45. My house gets broken into while I'm not here. It gets stolen. I report that serial number to my insurance and to the police. If that gun gets used in a crime, it's not coming back on me. It was registered. It's out there. Mm-hmm. If something does happen with it, I'm insured. I'm covered. I don't have to spend any legal fees, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And I think requiring insurance could help keep them out of the hands of some people that maybe, I don't want to say should or shouldn't.
You know how many people drive without insurance? You know how many people jack cars and steal cars and take them for joyrides that don't have insurance?
And so you're just jumping on the negative side of things.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying bad guys are going to be bad guys no matter how many regulations or
it's
whatever.
Not all bad or good. Lots of times it's people that didn't have the money or chose to do one thing instead of the other. They're not villains.
No.
They might be morons. They might be down on their luck.
No.
They might be having a rough go of things.
Sure.
There aren't many villains out there. There aren't many criminals that literally decide to be criminals.
I'm saying when you're talking about having your gun is already registered. So normally.
Not always.
No, supposedly that's supposed to be the law where you're supposed to have your gun registered. You purchase it from a firearms dealer and you fill out all your paperwork and all that jazz and you get a serial number. so that if it is stolen and used in a crime, that doesn't come back to you because you've already got it registered it as stolen or whatever, and your serial number is out there. Sure, things happen. Somebody donates a gun, you get one from an inheritance, whatever, you buy one from a neighbor, who knows, you get them that way. I'm talking about the actual people that are going out with the intent to cause harm, not talking about just the uninsured driver.
Well, I'll tell you right now,
the unlawful, I guess.
The firearms in the other room over there,
mm-hmm.
Nobody knows I have those.
Oh, they do now.
They don't know what I've got, and no, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is my grandfather's police revolver, his service revolver. He retired in 1979. Nobody knows I've got that. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of that stuff out there. Should I tell somebody? I don't know. Like I said, I don't shoot anymore.
Unlawful.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where I think requiring insurance, requiring registration, and requiring training.
Sure.
Why not do that just like you do with driver's tests?
Well, it's education, and I think education would make life a lot easier for everybody.
Absolutely.
And once everybody figures out a way to get rich off of doing it, it'll happen. It'll get passed and everybody will have to do it. But until then...
Well, when they were doing concealed carry, people teaching the classes and stuff made a mint.
Oh, yeah, they did.
And you require it for registration, like you've got to have a license for firearms like you do for driving. Granted, here's the thing. 80% of the people out there with guns will go pass the test, no problem. The other 20% are the ones that I was worried about in the first place that will need to go take a class and learn, I've been doing that wrong all my life. I could have blown my foot off. Yeah, you could have. Now you know better. Now you're safer. And then they go take the test. That would be the only concern on my part.
Okay.
And that's the thing. I agree with what you said. Most of the people that have firearms are fantastic.
Yeah.
It's not a thing. And it's like anything else. You're trying to mitigate the small percentage that are the problems.
I think those people are just, some of those people out there are just problems to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree 100%.
I don't really, I'm the kind of guy who I don't want to know what's going on in my neighbor's house. I don't really care what they've got. I don't care where your firearms are or where you've got them, or if you've got them registered or not. It's really none of my business, and it doesn't really affect me.
But you're right. I've told everybody now.
Because you're not an unlawful player. Now, if you were
at least to the best of everyone's knowledge.
This is true. If you were a dangerous individual, you cavorted with criminals, you sold drugs, you had a habit of getting into crime, or you had a incredibly violent temper and violent tendencies, then I'd be a little more concerned. But as it is, 98% of the people you meet out in the world are just trying to get by, doing their own thing. Yeah. Just let them do what they want to do. It's all good. Ain't hurting me.
And that's our motto here at the Gen Existentialist. Do what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And that'll bring us up to it.
Oh, man, that's it.
Yep. How can people get a hold of us?
Drop us a line at genexistentialists@gmail.com or find us anywhere you find your wonderful podcasts. We're everywhere now.
RSS, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. We're everywhere.
Yep.
We're seeping into the veins of the American spirit.
That's right.
And on that note, this has been the Gen Existentialist. My name is Scott.
And I'm Bunny.
We'll catch you next time. Have a good one.